Good evening, good evening, good evening, We That Nation. Once again, it's on. It's Thursday night. It's 8 o'clock, and it's time to rock. I got my guy Bryce. Once again, man, this guy is like. Uh, Now, I want to explain something to you because we're going to talk a little Braves. We're
Mm.
going to talk a little Falcons. But my Hawks aficionado, I don't think there's a young man that's doing it better than my guy Bryce. And we did promise you that we would when he was last on that, hey, he's got to come back on, kind of share his thoughts on what he thinks the Atlanta Hawks are. I feel pretty good about it. But how you doing? Before we get into that, how you doing, my brother? What's good?
Yes, sir, man. I'm good, man. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Just regular day work. Honestly, I was in bed before I got up for this. I was chilling. I was cooling today. So yeah, no, I'm chilling, man. I'm good. Good spirits, good energy.
That's what's up, man. Now, man, because it's you, man, I'd kind of like to, if it's okay, dive right in
Yeah.
to the Hawks report, man. I just wanted to get some of your thoughts. And before you share anything, I got to tell you, man, we look good, man, to me. But, you know what I mean? Like, I need you, Mike, to talk me off the ledge because I'm like, yo, I don't, it's not that, you know what it is? From my perspective, we look deep, but, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this after you talk a bit about the Hawks. The rest of the East don't look all that to me right now. Like the Bucks is not, they not, and it's super early. I have a rule, and I even think I shared it with you, and I shared it with the guys on the show, that I really try not to give too much energy to this before Christmas.
Mhm.
Having said that, the floor is yours, young man. Help us out.
Yeah. I mean, we've looked good in some games. Right now we're trailing to the Wizards right now. Wizards are having a good year so far. 4 games in, they've been a bit of a surprise to some people. But we look good. There's some good things that we can build off of right now that we hope to build off of. There's things we still need to improve. I kind of mentioned it a little bit last show that I feel like the biggest challenge for the Hawks right now is roles for everybody. Yep. Everybody's role is different now, especially if we're healthy,
Yeah.
I think right now we're trying to figure out almost like a new chemistry. It's weird because you think we have a lot of the same guys, but it's like imagine having a lot of the same guys, but a lot of them were hurt, and then you have them healthy the next year. I mean, you still got to learn to play and what's the best way to play with each other and everything like that. Trying to figure out lineups and stuff. So I think really, right now, the beginning of the season. Listen, I feel like the beginning of the season, everybody's trying to figure something out, so you can't really take too much stock into it, like you said. A lot of people like to say the season doesn't start till after Christmas, so. It's good that we're starting off well, but I really feel like we won't probably hit our stride till probably, when the new year comes around, because because of the fact that, there's so many other factors that we're still trying to figure out, and Nate's trying to figure out and everything like that. So, and going to what you said about the East looking weak this year, I mean, again, I'm not going to also put too much stock into it. I mean, the Nets might, turn around. James, Kyrie might come back, you know what I'm saying? Bucks, it's going to be dangerous. I mean, they were the 3rd seed last year. They kind of went on the radar and they won the championship. I mean, Philadelphia, they got the Ben Simmons stuff. There's a lot of things that have sagas that have to be figured out before we really see if this team can break through it. The Heat obviously is a team,
Let me ask you about that. The media seems to really have kind of co-signing the Heat. And I haven't seen them. I have not seen them yet. I love the pickup of Kyle Lowry, just like everybody else, but I don't know. Unless Tyler Hero has become what he thought he was 2 years ago, I don't think they match up well with us at all. But I don't know. I digress. What do you see when you see the Heat?
I mean, honestly, I honestly think the Heat is the most interesting matchup to me on paper for the Hawks because actually Tyler Hero has been balling to start this year. He's been balling. He had a 25+ point game and a 30-point game. He's been balling. It looks like Tyler Hero has gotten back in the gym and taking it seriously. And I think that helps. They're getting Victor Oladipo back sometime next year. He can put the ball in the basket. Butler, Bam, Lowry. I think this team. It's funny. I don't want to say they're like us, but I feel like they kind of are like us. Like they're deep like us. They're a team. Kind of. You like the Hawks. You think is Trey and then a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
And I think some people look at the Heat and they think it's Butler and a bunch of guys. And so I feel like there's some similarities there.
Yeah.
But And so for me, I look at it like, okay, they're an interesting team to me if we played them. You know, I feel like that's an interesting series.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to assume that your top four, in no particular order right now, is Brooklyn, Milwaukee, us, and the Miami Heat. Would you say that's your top four?
Yeah, I actually would. Okay. Because Philadelphia is very shaky right now to me.
Okay.
Because I just think the Ben Simmons thing is going to keep them from really hitting that next stride. And then honestly, you know, the way Chicago is playing might even put Chicago right there because Chicago's undefeated right now. I mean, they're playing the Knicks right now, but you know.
Yeah, but you know what? I always tell people, look at the Lakers. You know, you got to be who's in front of you. And Professor Times in it. He says, "What's your top four, Rick?" Man, you know my top four. My top four is the top four I just said. I think it's Atlanta. I got Miami. I think Youngin's right. I think the truth is I actually kind of like him. You know, I kind of like him. You know, if we don't.
No shame.
I mean, they're giant killers. I kind of like their heart and attitudes. I like Jimmy Butler. I like the Bucks. Brooklyn, man, that's gonna be a weird thing, man, because you know what? I think we might have mentioned it with you. I'm not sure, and I'd love to talk about it a little bit if you have any thoughts. James Harden, I don't know. I mean, I thought initially it's just, you know, he has to play himself into shape. That's what I thought. But after looking at a couple of games, I said, yeah, that rule thing is affecting him a little bit. As early on, and he's James Harden. He's a freaking great player. I mean, last year, I thought he was an MVP kid. I thought you can't give him an MVP because of how he got there. But I thought at one point towards the end of the year, second half of the year, he might have been playing the best basketball of anybody in the league. I mean, you know, they were just – and they didn't have Durant yet. What's your thoughts on James Harden, what you're seeing in Brooklyn in particular?
Yeah, I think James right now is struggling with the rule changes. I think the thing is people say this was Ray for Trey, but you got to understand Trey has been really doing this for like a couple of years. Like he hasn't done it for like 10 years of his career. You know, it's a couple of years, and he's just like, okay, you know, I'll figure out. I mean, he can get a bucket. I mean, you see, when you have a floater like his, I mean, do you have to be fouled to have a floater? Like, you know what I'm saying? He has moves he can go to and get points without it being fouled. Exactly. Harden has always played with contact in his game because he's always like, I can get bailed out. Because the thing is that if you're going to foul me, you're going to play off me, space, pull up. Exactly. If you get close to me, I'll make you foul me. And that's what made him so great of an offensive player. Yep. Now he doesn't have that. So now it's like defenders can really play him up. And then the thing, too, is they mentioned this with the referees this year. In general, they're not calling fouls. Because of the rule changes, because I think it's hard for referees to actually, okay, that's not a foul, so don't call it. And then people are actually getting fouled. And so it's just like they're going through that period of just like we're seeing some more physical games because refs are struggling to know, okay, what's not supposed to be called, what is supposed to be called right now.
Yeah.
But with Brooklyn in general, I think it just depends on Kyrie to me. Because the thing is I think James's role with Kyrie there is he'll be the point guard. Facilitate and then score is your second thing. When he's with Durant, he has to score and facilitate. And I think with him not being able to score, it can't even affect his facilitation because he'll have some high turnover games. So I think that's gonna it's gonna be interesting what happens. I said I don't know if I said it last show. I don't think Kyrie's going to miss the entire year. Just I think either at some point in the year it's going to change the mandate or he's going to get vaccinated. That's just my thoughts.
No, I hear you, and I appreciate your point about Kyrie. It's a love-hate thing with that guy, man. I'm not crazy about the personality. I know people like him, how he talks and how he loves this, and I'm trying to enlighten you. But man, I don't know. If I'm being really honest, gun to my head, if there's a player I enjoy watching on the court, Professor, you're exactly right. It is going to be interesting to see how Kyrie thing shakes out. I think you know what? I actually think that what's going to end up happening is I think they're going to kind of go on a little bit more of a losing streak, and I would say by Christmas he'll probably be back. Or I actually have been saying he'll probably get a shot, but I think you're coming at it as if he doesn't get a shot. I think you're right about the mandate. I think it'll ultimately change anyway because it doesn't make sense.
I just don't see it going that long.
No, it doesn't even make sense. It's like, okay, a visitor team can come and they don't have to get the shots and they can still play. but yet because I play here, I can't. That doesn't make sense. And to your point, I tell you what, I guess I'm getting my shots in early because I'm not a Brooklyn fan. I don't like how they were put together and whatnot, but they are really ridiculously good. And I think if you have Harden as the primary point guard and you have Kyrie just play off the ball, that's a tough ask to stop that backcourt already. And then you take arguably the best player in the world, he's in the conversation, and say, hey man, you just get in where you fit in. I mean, sometimes he's legit the third option when they were running all cylinders. That's amazing to me. And he's just that good, and he's an unselfish player. Brooklyn's a real deal. And I guess Milwaukee, more than I'm thinking about it.
I mean, they really bring back the same guys. So, I mean, it's like, they're going to be tough. Giannis looks like he's made even more improvements to his game. Like, Giannis is going to be dangerous. They're just going to be a dangerous team because of that. But
what do you think about them losing PJ Tucker, though? I thought.
Well, it's funny. I actually saw something earlier. They were talking about, you would have that lineup on the floor with Drew. I think it was Drew, Giannis, Bobby Portis, PJ Tucker, and Chris Middleton. Yeah. And now this year, his brother, Giannis's brother, is playing PJ's role. Yeah. So I guess we'll see how good the other brother is this year in that role. It didn't seem like on paper PJ did a lot, but his defense, physicality, everything like that. And his brother is also kind of bulky a little bit too. So you would think physically he can do it, but we'll just have to see if he has the skill to actually end up doing it too. And I just want to put out one tidbit for any of the teams, maybe even Brooklyn with Kyrie if they do go the trade route. Just don't forget John Wall's still in the trade block. When he played last year, he balled. He can play. So maybe that's something a team explores. Maybe 76ers with Ben Simmons. Maybe you explore Ben Simmons to Houston. You get John Wall back. You run it with that.
No, that's a good point. I'm actually thinking about it. Let me ask you, and this is to our We Dad audience as well. Everyone feels free to answer this. What do y'all think Ben Simmons is going to end up? I can't see him there too much longer. I actually thought they played it wrong. I thought he should have played hard for Philly for 2 weeks, and then they probably have a buyer by now saying, hey, we forgot this guy is one of the best lockdown defenders in the league. He can facilitate the basketball. We can figure it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's tough because Ben is like it depends on the role. It depends on the role for Ben. Obviously, I don't think – I mean, he can play point, but I feel like he'll thrive in a Draymond Green type role. Yeah, I think because the thing is, I always say that the weird thing with Ben is he's an elite defender. He's an elite passer. He's an elite scorer in terms of inside the paint and getting to the rim. But he has absolutely zero jump shot.
Yeah.
So it's like I can see why people are like, is he a star? Is he not? Like he has star talent. Like he has superstar talent. But he don't have a jump shot. So now he's not a star. Or is he a star? But he's Ben Simmons. So it's that's why the trade value for him is weird because it's like it just depends on how you use him.
I think they just need to humble out and give him to Portland and do that CJ McCollum deal. Answer Billingsley's question, how do you get him to play hard after all that's been said? I think he's motivated. I think if this don't motivate him, what you gonna do? I can't see how someone. I mean, he is a professional athlete. This guy is a ridiculously high IQ. He's on the court for whatever you think in terms of how he throws against us. Man, before that, he was amazing. Honestly, there's some people who thought there wouldn't be a series between us and them. So, if I'm Portland, I'm making the deal. I don't know what's the hold up on. I think Philly thought they could get more.
Wait, you doing CJ straight up?
Well, probably filler. I think the contract would be. I think Ben makes about 30 a year, and I think CJ makes about 25, maybe 20, 22, 23. I don't know the numbers, but it'd probably be a little filler. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a couple draft picks. I don't know, second round draft picks. But that would be the gist of the trade. I think CJ would fit good with another shooter. Philly can always use shooters.
Well, I think the original trade was people were saying it would be Damian Lillard for Ben.
Oh yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't.
That's not going to happen. That ain't going to happen. I think Damian should really think about getting out, but maybe he's looking at it as, I don't know.
He wants to give Chauncey a chance.
Yeah, it's a long time. I heard New York, but I'll tell you one thing that was kind of discouraging, if you're a Philly fan, that you should think about. I can't remember where I saw it. I saw it on Twitter somewhere, and it basically said, Javid is a hater. He's throwing out stuff. Stop losing your logic. The man has a cell phone in his pocket at practice. Yeah. Not going to get fired. Whatever. Get well soon, Professor. My thought is, I saw on Twitter, I believe it was yesterday, the day before, and they said basically that Jameed, what's his name? I'm sorry, Embiid, Joel Embiid, literally, he said he couldn't walk for 2 days after a game. And I'm like, jeez, man. That's the thing that people forgot. See, we forgot that a year ago they had been having this conversation that you can't keep them both. And a lot of people, including myself, said, you might want to roll with Ben. And I wasn't saying it just because, I'm actually not a Ben Simmons fan. I'm just going off of my basketball understanding, my basketball prowess, how I understand the sport. And I'm like, hey, this guy, he's 24 years old. He's going to stay on the court, and he can play heck of defense. Give him shooters. I'll work around the rest. Now, I didn't know he'd be this bullheaded when it comes to not working on his jump shot. But having said that, man, my coach used to say, you can't make the club from the tub. And so I just don't know with Embiid, like, man, first of all, he's not going to play more than 60 games. Second of all, isn't he 28, 29? And let's just be real. Listen, I don't want to tick off any of our fan base. He's African 28, 29. Would that mean he can be 33, 34?
I say, what that mean?
You'll be really 28, 29? I don't know. That's all. Thought.
He's 27.
He is 27. Okay. 27. He's 27. I don't even know if he is, but I'm giving him that. But my thing is, I know his knees aren't 27. That I do know. Yeah.
I mean, you saw what he did to us last year on partially torn. I mean, if he can play through it, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But it is concerning. I mean, a lot of people were saying what you were saying last year with Ben, just give him shooters and just work it out. But now it's like, dang. I mean, because it's like Embiid really is like, if he's on it, he's probably the most dominant player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And so that's your dilemma. It's like, what if I only got 3 years max? Do I take a 3 years max dominant Embiid and then just 3 year window, we chips on the table, or do I take Ben, where maybe from a longevity standpoint, I may be able to get high level play? It's kind of, but you never know if he'll get that jump shot. So it's like, it's one of those things, you know how many players have came into the league and we've said, man, if they could get a jump shot, they would be great. And Ben literally is another one of those guys, and yet he hasn't. It's funny because you'll see those open gym videos. He'll be out here just taking shots, knocking them down. And then in the game, don't even shoot them. I'm like, why not? Like, I mean, they're even giving you space. In the open gym, they're like semi-guarding you. In the NBA, their strategy, let him shoot. All right, you got it. Don't take it.
Pharrell just brought up an interesting point. He says it's crazy, but it seems like John has lost a step. I'm going to assume he's talking about John Wall, and I haven't seen enough of John Wall. But is that? Have you got a chance to check him out? Has he lost a step? I know he's been battling injuries as well.
I mean, obviously, if you're expecting John to be the John from like when he came to the league, no, he's not that quick. But he's still a fast point guard. He still can ball. He can still assist. Like, that's the thing. When he played last year for Houston, when he was healthy, he was having big games. Like, the biggest thing for John to show people was that he could still play at a high level, and he could. So I think that's the biggest thing. It just depends on what – I mean, John on a championship team, not your first option. I mean, I think he could be a second, third option for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, again, it's the same thing. His health, can he stay healthy? But, he's been playing – he has been playing just because he agreed to let Houston trade him, but he's still been playing pickup ball with the Houston Rockets guys. And, like I said, Houston Rockets is going to be the most entertaining 20-win team in the league. They like every night there's a highlight from a Houston game. Somebody dropped 30, windmill dunk. They got an L though, but dang it.
I don't know. The professor's on it this evening. He says they made an agreement between John and Houston that they actually won't play. I think I did hear that as they seek a trade. So that might happen. Man, I tell you, there's a few teams that could use a piece like that, even though he's not the John Wall of old.
Yeah.
I just want to also get this point out. George, see, this is the problem with, and I won't mention Ben Simmons after this, but see, this is the thing. He says Ben Simmons can shoot, and I've seen him pick up games where he's shooting 20-footers constantly. It's all mental. See, I tell you what, it's hard to disagree with that because I've seen games where, I've seen games where man, he could do it. I thought that he was like LeBron light at one point the year before last year.
Yeah,
so,
good. It's funny. I remember every time Ben hit a three, it was like a highlight. You remember that? Like he would hit a three. Oh my god, he hit it. Like, and the thing is, he didn't take a lot. He would actually probably hit like 2 or 5, 2, 3 or 5 for the season. So it's like, why don't you take them more? And it's funny because you say it's mental, but think about it. He's not playing because he said he's not mentally ready to play. Yep. Some people may think he's not over that block he got into in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
It's one of those things where it's just like, Ben, there ain't no way you went through your entire basketball career without shooting a J.
Wow.
Listen, there's levels to it. Like, listen, there's guys who will you'll see their highlight film in high school, the hoop tape, just draining. But they get to the league and they can't shoot. They can shoot. They just can't. Against NBA defense, they can't shoot. Where Ben, ain't no way he ain't shot a single jump shot his entire basketball career and then just can't shoot.
Exactly. I'm gonna put it up there. I ain't gonna touch it. Gary says John Wall got too involved in the street. I've heard things.
He do be repping. He do be repping on the court. they say that's top peak John Wall. When he hit it, he gonna drop 30 that night.
Now, I got a full confessional, and before I know y'all are gonna ream me out for this, and little bro Price is probably gonna ream me out a little bit for this. I deserve it. The concept of the show Weed at Atlanta is Atlanta sports, Atlanta perspective all the time. And that's me, ATL to the heart. Don't test my 4-4. Don't test my 678. Don't do that, 770. Don't do that. Having said that, anybody who really, really knows me, knows me that I grew up, and I'm a Hawks fan to the end. I love the Hawks, but I got to ask about my Lakers. I am a Lakers fan. You have to understand, it was different. Atlanta was different. When I was growing up, it wasn't a lot of Hawks fans. We liked Dominique, but then we paid attention to the Lakers. And Magic was like my first sports hero. I apologize in advance. I'm Hawks till I die. I promise y'all. Please believe me. But I'm concerned about my Lakers. Bryce, give me some hope. Am I just tripping because I'm a Laker fan? Or are you hoping, like the rest of my Laker hater friends, that they're going to choke on it and die?
I'm dead. I'm an unbiased man. For me,
you froze a little bit. You were saying a little bit about how you felt about the Lakers. As he comes back, he'll let us know what he thinks. But I guess, you froze up for a second.
Oh, my bad.
You were saying your thoughts on the Lakers, and just be real. Go ahead and give me the victory. I can take it.
Oh yeah, I was just saying if they can stay healthy and they can get chemistry, I think they'll be good. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard. I know people are saying Westbrook doesn't look like a good deal right now, and they may have to trade him. But I feel like LeBron also looks at this and says maybe they think we can't. Like we got to ride with it. Like who are we? Like we have a bunch of old people. Who are we going to trade to get a better – like, I mean, if you get John Wall, you're getting an older, banged-up player. I mean, you can't really get a younger player in there because LeBron said, listen, I'm going all in with veterans this year. Can't do the young player thing. Got to go veterans, and we're just going with it. Got to try to get my guy Melo a chip, and we're going to see. Yeah. Obviously, if they're healthy and they have developed that chemistry, then maybe. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting with the Lakers. Yeah. The Western Conference there's not a definitive.
They're
true. In the mix, so
that's true. That's true. Clippers got blown out last night by Cleveland, And
hey, Cleveland blew out Denver the game before. Hey, we all think we lost to the Cleveland like we're bad. Cleveland blowing out people.
Yes, actually, Cleveland has actually got some pieces. They got the young boy from the crib, Claxton, and Garland's a nice piece. Cleveland is going to be a problem. They're going to be a tough out. I think people are coming into Cleveland thinking it's sweet, and it is not sweet.
They have an interesting roster construction because they just have guards and big men. They don't have any wings.
No,
they just have big. Like they have guard. They have big men who can kind of are a little versatile, but they're not like wings. So they're going to be bigger than most teams. So they're going to out rebound you usually.
Yep.
And then they have two big men who can shoot threes. So then they still have shooting. Then Saxton, as much as he looks like the Cleveland don't want him, they're going to let him walk. But he can play. Like Saxton can play. Darius Garland can play. Yep. Ricky Rubio, hey, he sometimes had them games where he'd just be passing, assisting, and scoring. So they got some guys. Obviously, 82-game season. We'll see how everything if something evens out. But it's definitely like they're a different type of challenge.
Yeah.
Because listen, like this is a huge team. Like we're gonna have to go out here and bang, and because if that, they're gonna out rebound us. They're gonna get offensive rebounds. They're gonna kill us in paint points. And if Colin Sexton or Darius Garland gets hot, Cleveland could be a little bit of a sneaky playing team, sneaky AC.
Yeah. You know what you're really saying, and we kind of noticed it last year, but it's definitely, I think it's for sure this year. The Eastern Conference has probably caught up to the Western Conference. And that hasn't happened probably, and I can't tell you when that was the case. I probably in the 90s it was like that. I don't remember the last time the Eastern was on the West level. And I'm telling you, there's about 4 or 5 teams that got a legit shot at the title. There's about 6, 8 teams that, boy, they can beat anybody on any given night. And there's a couple teams that's probably not going to make a playoffs. Like, I don't think Cleveland will actually make the playoffs because I can see about 8 good teams. The Knicks are going to have something to say.
Yeah, listen, I know people don't want to hear this, but the Knicks look better. Like, Kemba had a vintage night. Fournier's always been a shooter. Like they upgraded their backcourt from last year.
You know they were gonna do that.
So they got Mitchell Robinson back. So I mean, they're really a solid kind of deep team. Like, listen, don't think we play them again. It's just gonna be another cakewalk. Like they got some guys. Like if Kemba goes off against us, I know y'all gonna be pissed off because y'all gonna be like, Kemba on some bad knees, dropping 30 on this.
And you know what? I didn't even want to bring it up, but since you didn't bring it up, I'm gonna say it. If I had, I always ask, what's your NBA League Pass team? And that means a team that you have no affinity or ties to that you are going to, they're must-see TV. And I'm going to tell you right now, that LaMelo Ball has got me wanting to look at Charlotte Hornets. I like the way they built around him. I like the fact that he's a dog. Man, I think his dad said that he was going to be better than Lonzo.
Yeah, he said he was going to be the best one.
Yeah, and he is. He's the Serena of that group. He is. I got to tell you, he's a better shooter than I thought he was. He's a better passer than I thought he was. He's actually smart because I used to watch the little show, and I thought he was a little jerk of a kid.
Hey, LiAngelo was funny on that show.
He was.
LiAngelo, they were funny.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, my point is, I think the East has caught up to the West, and I think that this is just a great year for basketball. It's going to be a good show. I can't tell you anything about the West, but I know in the East there are going to be some problems, and it ain't going to be anybody going to be able to say, hey, we got it for sure this year. Brooklyn, maybe if they have Kyrie, they might have something to say about it. But I think the Hawks, being the homer I am, I think that we can see anybody, and this is going to be a great – you guys might want to invest in the NBA League Pass this
year. Yeah, Hawks definitely have as good of a chance as any team in the league to me to get out of the East.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, just depends on if getting everything right. I always say the Hawks are such an interesting team because usually teams that we see compete at that level have been through a lot of heartbreaks in the playoffs, 2-3 series, maybe like years of losses, and they're a little bit older and, they're more veteran. And it's funny because we're like a year in to back after the playoffs, and we're all like championship expectations, and we gotta make it there. Else this is a failure, and it's just weird. Cause I'm like, also these guys are like 25, 24, 23. It's crazy to say like, hey, we expect these 24, 25-year-olds to outplay them 29, 28-year-olds in their prime and get us there. Because that's why people are like, I want to say championship, but it's like at the same time, what if, because we haven't been through that? I mean, it's funny, as an Atlanta fan, you feel like you've been through much trial and tribulation, so you feel like, why do we need to go through more? But it is a little like, man, like, you know, it's going to be tough, and you just hope that Nate really gets these guys like mentally ready, like, you know, because he got them ready last year when he gave them playoff packets when they faced the Knicks. I knew they were ready.
Loved it. Let me ask you this before we move on to some baseball. We move on to the World Series a bit. And in terms of the Hawks, what's something that jumped out at you that made you say, "Oh wow"? For me, it has been Cam Reddish. He is as advertised, man. He is as advertised. Jameed says the facts the people don't want to hear. The Hawks are actually a trade away from the promised land. I'd like to hear what you guys think that trade is, because I'm not so sure that we don't have the pieces right now. I'm telling you, Cam looks like the real – he's even better than I thought. Offensively, I'm not even talking about defensively. What's your thoughts on what's some things that you see that it's like, okay, or something that you think that we need to kind of shore up, you know, in terms of the Atlanta Hawks?
I mean, I think with this team, they're kind of doing it the way the Raptors won it with Kawhi, and, you know, kind of the Bucks in a way. It just depends on how you view Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, where you just have a lot of really good players around a star, but your good players are really good players. So they could definitely are capable of doing it, because, I mean, the thing is that we knew we had injuries last year. Like, why do you think so many people say if DeAndre Hunter was healthy and Cam was healthy, that they think we would have beaten the Bucks? I mean, I saw a guy tweet today. He said after, you know, DeAndre Hunter clamped up Brandon Ingram yesterday on the game on their last shot. You know, he said he was just like, man, imagine if DeAndre Hunter was healthy for the Bucks series. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you kind of look at the team and think, if everybody's healthy and plays well, why wouldn't we be able to beat everybody? We have defensive stoppers. We got guys who can score. Cam can have a big night. DeAndre can have a big night. Bo can have a big night. Kevin can have a big night. You know what I'm saying? John, you know, he's been dunking. I feel like every single score he has is a dunk now. It's like you feel like, you know, Gallo could have 20, 25 plus. Like it makes you feel like that unpredictability of anybody can go off makes you feel like, well, why couldn't we? Why can our depth overtake, you know, just a guy, basically a team relying on two stars to carry it, and then hope to get enough from the supporting cast?
And to that point, who has more depth than us right now? Now, you're right. I thought about it as you were sharing it earlier. Miami does have a lot of depth.
They have a lot of depth.
They have a lot of depth. But
we can't forget they got Dwayne Dedmon too. He can play a little bit too. He's not a bad center.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's anybody I could unequivocally say has more depth than the Atlanta Hawks right now. Am I right or am I wrong? I mean, I'm talking about young talent.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know everybody don't want to see Solo on the floor, but yeah. You know, I mean, listen, everybody, you know, mad about Nate, like, oh, why don't you play Jalen? Why are you playing Solo? Like, bro, if Gallo go down or Cam go down, please play Jalen. I'd rather have another guy like him go to front than the Solo just airballing threes. Listen, but depth wise, yeah, like, I mean, you look at our starting 10, like, solid.
Yeah,
it's very solid 10. It's funny hearing, you know, Twitter reactions and stuff like.
So you don't feel like we need a trade?
It's funny because that's all you hear nowadays. Who we go and trade? But then every trade that we see is so bad for the Hawks. We're giving up like three really talented young players for a good player, and I'm just unless he's changed, unless we're getting Kevin Durant or Giannis or somebody like that, I'm not going to give up. You know, I'm not going to give up Herter, Reddish, maybe even throw Collins in there for Bradley Beal. Almost like, how did we get better? That means y'all definitely going to see Solo on the floor. I mean, to me, I just, you know, because of what they bring to the table, I'm just feeling like the way they put their games together. I feel like, to me, you run it back, you see what happens this year. If Slink guy makes a decision, if he feels like, okay, I feel like with the way the roster is constructed in terms of everybody reaching their potential, this is the max of this team ceiling together, then I think Slink will not be afraid to will and deal and make a move. But because listen, people are saying Bogdanovich may be somebody next offseason, maybe on the move in Gallo since they have bigger contracts, but we don't see them as long-term after their contracts are over with the team because they might slide Herter into that starting shooting guard. And then, I mean, Gallo's on the bench. I mean, I guess maybe that's why you develop Jalen Johnson. You slide him into Gallo, and then you got your guys, and then you decide what to do with Cam and DeAndre. Yeah. So that's kind of how I'm looking at that.
Mm-hmm. I know that Professor Billingsley doesn't – we both love DeAndre. We think he's all-star potential, but we're really worried about that knee. We think that knee might be a long-term thing where he's going to be missing. You can forget back-to-backs. I've already seen that.
I mean, hey, he's playing them back-to-back tonight.
He is. We'll see how's he doing so far tonight. See,
I mean, he hasn't. I mean, he's 4 of 8. So
that's still early.
Early. I mean, it's not looking the greatest right now in this game, but
yeah,
but well, I mean, it's kind of
wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think DeAndre, from what I've been hearing, he's definitely trying all types of different things to try to make sure his knee is good to go. Okay. He's definitely. I think he's trying different. He's eating some different foods. He's trying to make sure he's good. Because with knee stuff, you think you're good, but then you never know if you're really good.
You know, I know it.
So, yes. You know what I'm saying? You good for 20, 30 games? Okay, I got through a quarter this season. I'm healthy. And then the knee go out like, dang.
I think between you and Burrell, I think you're right. I'm not sure if we need to do a trade. And that was the biggest, we got to trade somebody. But I'm afraid to trade the wrong kid. This kid, we trade Cam, and this guy turns out to be, man, super all-pro. Man, he's got his potential is. Listen, I was one of those. To be honest with you, talking about what a difference a coach makes. That last coach that we had me wondering if this Cam thing is going to even work out.
Yeah, he made Cam look like he was a scrub, and now he looks like, okay, he's shooting with confidence. He's shooting better. He seems to be in a better position. He seems to be himself and things of that nature. So, I think obviously the big question with Cam is if we keep DeAndre. Let's say we do sign DeAndre. The thing is just like, is Cam ever going to be able to reach that level?
Good point.
If he's not the starter, for us. So that's going to be the big thing there. Obviously, if Cam continues to play well, then obviously, listen, if anything, this is also helping his trade value. If Slink did decide to pull a trigger, he's like, listen, we got a budding star in Cam Reddish. You got to give me a solid, very, very solid guy if I'm going to trade you. Exactly. That's why I didn't like when they were talking about he would trade the Cam for like a lottery, like a 13th pick. Like, why are you like I think Slink's smarter than that. I think Slink just listens. I think he just listens to everybody.
Oh, I actually think sometimes he puts stuff out there just to stir the conversation, stir the pot a little bit.
Potentially,
I'm open to trading Cam. Oh, really? Well, let's have a conversation, and then you get a guy to get a gist of what they really want, what they're really invested in. So Gary says the only thing I see the Hawks locking in is possibly is their medical team. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Because I know what he's talking about.
Okay, help us out.
I mean, we had so many injuries last year, and there were so many guys that they would say week to week, and then they'd be out for months. And it felt like the medical team wasn't giving accurate information to a certain extent. Like, you said this. Like, I remember John got hurt. He had an ankle. They said day to day he was out for like 2-3 weeks. And they were like – and so I actually think they made some changes to the medical staff.
Okay.
This offseason, I'm not 100% sure. I think there was some changes made. Okay. But I understand why he's saying that because it's like we don't want a guy who gets banged up and then he's out for a month when they said a week. I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, moving on to the World Series, and guys, listen, I'm going to be real frank with you. We're going to be looked at by the media as the underdogs throughout the series. So you get over it. The Astros, they're a great team, and they even have a better offense than the Dodgers do. We're not going to get very far if we can't score off the Houston's bullpen. The key to postseason success for the offense is going to be timely hitting, which we haven't been too good in it late innings outside of Rosario, of course. That was actually, I don't know, some of you older fans will know, it was a huge reason for many of our 90s Braves postseason failures. It's so frustrating to see guys constantly strike out with two runners in scoring position, but we do have some hitters that can certainly flip the script at any point of the game. So, any thoughts? I don't know if you got a chance to check them out at all. What's your thoughts on the Braves? Do you feel confident? You still feel good? I mean, they're coming back home. I know we're going to be a raucous environment. Baseball, the one thing about baseball that I don't know if even I understand as I'm watching it, it's see ball, hit ball. It's not always the best team. It's about who's hitting the ball at the most opportune time. I mean, we were underdogs in the Brewers series. We were underdogs in the series with the Dodgers, of course. And, of course, we're going to be underdogs in this series with the Astros, which I think is actually probably a better offense than even we faced last series.
Yeah. I think, it's going to be a tough series. Their offense is really good. They really put a lot of pressure on the pitching. Yeah. Pitching is going to be key for the Braves. You really need your pitchers to at least limit damage. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? These games could easily become high-scoring games. Think about it. Braves first game 6, Astros next game 7. Like, that may be the numbers that you need to win in a series like this, and it's just a matter of who can get those runs. I don't know if you heard about Max Fried. They were talking about how, they said he was tipping his pitches.
Yeah.
And so that, and then they said, I think he stopped. And then I think that one inning he was able to pretty much get through the inning pretty smooth.
Yeah.
And everything like that. And so hopefully, he gets that worked out and stuff. Obviously we know Charlie Morton went down, obviously stroke out a 2A broken leg, but we called some guys up, some younger guys up. It's going to be on that pitching staff. They have to limit that damage. And then we're going to have to get some bats on ball.
Yeah.
That's going to be big too, getting some bats on ball. I think, listen, Houston has some good pitching. I watched them. Now I will say, let's be honest. You've been watching, if you watch the games, and everybody who's watching this can agree, the umpires have been very sus. I'm seeing balls that are strikes, and I'm just
all I know is we better get that same love when they come to Atlanta.
But the thing is that's how it was mainly all the Dodgers series. When you look at the umpire reports, they always favor the Dodgers. Yep. It's like after the first game, they said that the umpire report was 1.86 runs towards Astros. Mm-hmm. It's just that's almost 2 runs that they literally were giving calls in favor of. It was just dude, that's why they're not swinging, because they're it's a ball. If I swing, I'm gonna miss it. So it's just, it was just interesting. It's just dang. Major League Baseball has not been hiding any type of biases at all. You know what I'm saying? They really be hey, well, look, Houston, Dodgers play today. Okay. So, listen, I think when we go home, I said this is a very critical 3-game stretch.
Yeah.
You have to win 2 out of the next 3 of the Braves. You have to go back to their 3-2. Give yourself 2 games. Do not go back down 3-2. You have to take 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. It's going to be crucial.
Yeah. Honestly, what really has me kind of, listen, we talked about it before on the show with Jameed, that I am the pessimistic Braves fan. I'm just happy to be here. I'm fired up. I'm trying not to go there too much with the energy. But Morton going down was crucial. I'm so glad we won that game, or else it'd be a short series. I'm telling you that now. But in the back of my mind, I thought it's going to be a long series, odds are, and that sucks because we're not going to beat this team in 5. It's 6 will be the I really was hoping we got the last game, but I did also hear what you were sharing about I saw it on Twitter. They were talking about Fried might have been tipping some of his pitches. Hey, man, the Astros are really good, but they're going to do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? I don't, the one thing that I will give them, I think people are piling on them as if no other teams have been doing the things they were doing. They just got caught. Of course, me being a Braves fan, I'm going to say, oh, well, we don't do it. I don't know what we're doing, So, my thoughts is I'm hoping we can take game 3 and game 4. But you're right. It's imperative that we get at least 2 of the next 3. Or
some part of me was thinking 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Because it's just interesting. Luckily, we have a lot of young pitching depth.
We do.
And like I said, we caught up, I forgot who, I think it was Davidson.
Yeah.
And, So we're gonna have a lot of our young guys really. They're gonna have to really play big for us here and really be able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully the offense could give them that run support. Because listen, like I say, Astros have really good pitching, good pitching. So you know you're gonna need Eddie. He didn't have a great game yesterday at all. He has to bounce back. You're gonna need a couple of home runs. We're gonna need our stars to play big. And I hope the home crowd really energizes them and really.
That's actually been one of the things most encouraging in Atlanta. You guys have done a really good job of Atlanta in the stands because I tell you what, the Dodger series, they was looking for it to be, not all that. And we were getting a lot of little shade and stuff on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what, I saw the comments. I saw you guys letting them have it and letting them know how much we appreciate our Braves. They just didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, let me tell you something. Ever since 91, it has been on and popping, So, good luck to our Braves. Let's talk a little bit about our Falcons. I got an interesting question I wanted to ask you. And this is the We That Nation. I just want you guys to think on this some. Should the Falcons just go ahead and let Kyle Pitts play wide receiver 1 for the rest of 2021? What y'all thinking? Should we let him play wide receiver 1?
I'm good. I mean, listen, like he kind of already is just to a tight end position. I think obviously, I know everybody's down on Ridley and everything, but I mean, we do need him. He still has. I mean, he's still going to be probably the main guy on wide receiver routes. I think, offensively, we've been hitting our stride better, even with whatever the issues in the wide receiving group. Even though we had a pretty good game, really caught a touchdown. Gage caught a touchdown this past week. Because I think they haven't been using Gage correctly sometimes. I think Gage has speed to burn, and he went on that deep pass play in the Miami game and got a touchdown. I think they need to use him more in that role, let him use his speed. And I think Kyle Pitts, I think he's a guy over the middle who's dangerous. And then you can let Ridley, kind of, that his side of the field kind of do his thing and everything like that. For the most part, I think, right now, this offense is kind of reminding me a little bit of with the Kyle Shanahan year. Because again, people forget Arthur Smith and Kyle Shanahan run similar systems. It's West Coast. Like there's just different terminology and concepts. So this isn't an offense that Matt Ryan has never ever ran in his life. It's just different in the way Arthur Smith presents it. Yeah. And I think Matt is always better, because that was one thing. Within that Super Bowl year, I said this is when Matt Ryan's at his best. When even with Julio, he was just like, listen, whoever's open is getting it. And I think when he could just spread, he's elite. Yeah. I think when Matt Ryan has struggled, and it's even shown statistically, when he's focusing in, that's when the interceptions go up and rating goes down, completion percentage goes down, because he just is not a guy who focuses. And I think Arthur Smith's giving him that ability to kind of freely, listen, whoever is open, get it to him. Because we have weapons to get to. You just give them to him, Matt, if you see it. You know what I'm saying? Don't zero in on one guy. And I think because Kyle Pitts is so great at what he does, and he's a tight end, because remember, Matt has had a great history using tight ends. Yep. Tony Gonzalez, even Jacob Tammy. You know what I'm saying? He uses his tight end. So Kyle Pitts being the tight end, Matt Ryan's going to use him.
Yeah. Gary says, let him set all the tight end records first. He's got a point. I think as of right now, he is number one tight end in the NFL in receiving yards per game. Man, he is playing some ball. It's encouraging to see. You know what else is encouraging to see as far as the Falcons? I want to get your thoughts on the game coming up a little bit versus the Panthers. But I appreciate what you're sharing about Matt Ryan. I can admit I might have shortchanged that guy with a little bit of line. You give that man 3 seconds. And I think we shared about this a little bit with the last episode. But what I'm seeing with Matt is if he has an understanding of where you're going to go, if you give that man 3 seconds, he's going to make the play. He's a tough SOB. He plays to the end of the man. He's a smart, good quarterback. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but he's our quarterback. He's our quarterback. He's a pretty good quarterback, man. I feel good about our team, our offense right now. I really actually like a lot that Dan Pease is doing with you got to understand, we don't have the personnel that he needs, but I like Dan Pease as a defensive coordinator What do you think our chances are versus Carolina Panthers this weekend?
I think we have a good chance. Actually, I think a lot of people are actually still picking the Panthers to actually beat us this week.
Yeah.
Because I think, they think they're going to they might get back on track this week. But, I mean, even the guy I was on with yesterday, I mean, he said he thinks the Panthers are going to win 31-17. I was just kind of like, that's a low offensive scoring number for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're getting some defensive guys back, but I was like, all right. But, yeah, like I think we have a good chance this week for sure. I think if our offense continues to click the way it is, listen, the Panthers have struggled to score points. Listen, I know our defense is not. I know we always say we make every quarterback look like they're Aaron Rodgers and da. But listen, Dean Pease is going to throw some things at Sam.
Yeah,
he's going to make Sam have to make some decisions. And remember the Washington game.
Mm-hmm.
The players were put into position. They just didn't make plays.
Yep.
They could have had 2-3 picks and they didn't make it. Mm-hmm. Sam will give you some lollipops. You got to make those plays. If you make those plays, great chance for the Falcons to win.
Yes, you will. Any other thoughts around the NFL? I don't know if you guys have any comments. We are open to answer all questions and whatnot. But I think I wanted to talk a little bit before we get off about the Georgia-Florida game. Is there anything that you feel good about? I kind of feel like, hey, look, I actually have a little soliloquy. I was saying Florida has lost close to 3 games. Bama, Kentucky, now LSU. They're I don't think they're as good as I thought they were. I don't even know who they're going to be their quarterback this weekend. I don't know if it's going to be AR-15, Anthony Richardson, or Emory Jones, the kid from Georgia. I don't think it's going to matter. I think that this is just one of those years, and I'm not saying we're going to blow them out of the water, and I'm one of those when it comes to UGA football, I'm super scary and don't jinx it and whatnot and be careful what you say. But having said that, man, their strength is running the ball, and no one runs the ball on us. They don't seem to pass well. I mean, I don't even know.
If Emory's throwing, then yeah. AR, he can throw it. He can light it up a little bit in the passing game.
Yeah, Professor Billing helping us out. He says the line is UGA for UGA is negative minus 14. As for the good guys, I don't think it's going to be. I'd be surprised if we don't win by at least 2 touchdowns. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be about right. I mean, it's just the defense, being able to get that pressure and really affect whoever's back there. I mean, this is probably our most. I would say this is the most mobile QB we faced.
Yep.
Regardless of who it is this season.
Yep.
We've faced some mobile guys, but in terms of actually running the ball, these are like the most mobile. So it'll be interesting to see how the defense handles that challenge of a mobile QB. Mm-hmm. But
Jefferson was pretty mobile, but I see what you're saying. He's more of a big, thick guy. He can run some. These guys can run. These guys can run.
Yes, yeah. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that works out. I know there's a lot of
once you think of this, I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Oh, you good?
Remember, they don't have. There's a lot of guys that they had last year, like Pitts. They had Pitts last year. They're not going to be able to do all those sweeps and swivels and all that. Those what do you call it? The running back coming out the flat. That's not going to work on us this year because now our linebackers. You don't have the guys that can beat our linebackers. So that's what's making me super confident about this weekend. One of those guys are super hesitant to put up a score, but like I said, Jameed, Professor Billings says take the 14. Kirby's mad as heck about last year. See, that's one thing about Kirby. He's right. Wheel routes, exactly. Kirby's petty, man. He might try, and he don't like Dan Mullen too tight. He don't like Dan Mullen. I feel like man, he's gonna try to stick it to him. Matter of fact, this will let me know what Kirby's mind frame is. The media's going to try to put it out there that Stetson should be the quarterback. No, Stetson's doing a great job for us, and he's a really good quarterback, and he actually helps our run game, his ability to run with the football. But JT Daniels, man, listen, and I ain't even that crazy about some things about the kid because he actually hinders our running ability a little bit. But man, this guy, there are passes that he just can make that It's just maybe about 4 or 5 other kids in the country can make. He's that good. And so if I see JT Daniels in there, and from what I've been hearing in the practice, they say, hey, his shoulder's looking better. The ball's whizzing off off his hand. He's looking good. If JT starts the game, that lets me know that Kirby's planning to put the screws. I think I did hear someone say they're going to play them both, but how much they play them both tells me a lot about how bad Kirby wants to put it to Dan Mullen, Florida Gators.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody says Kirby understands to get to where they want to go. JT has to be the guy. Yeah. I think last year you gave Stinson a run and you saw against Alabama. I mean, listen, he had a lead at half, but I mean, the team has to be really good with him because and then if they're able to kind of shut some things down, Stinson wasn't start turning the ball over. He's kind of a gunslinger a little bit. JT is too, but he does make smart decisions. He has a big arm, like you said. He can make all the throws. He has great arm talent. Yep. And and I think that's why, from a passing game perspective, I think people want to see JT with all the weapons healthy because they're just like, man, like he can really light it up. Like remember JT, I believe he's only a junior. Like I mean, the perception is that he's going to go to the draft this year, but with him being hurt and not really playing a lot, I don't know how that's hurting his draft stock. I don't know where that's. He might just say I'm going regardless, but I think Kirby knows JT has to be the guy. I think he wants to work JT. I think he just with the schedule they have, he can work him back into it. It's not like, oh, we have Ohio State coming up, and so it's like I gotta go throw JT out there and just I hope it's like, okay, we're playing Florida. Okay, I'm not trying to say that we ain't gonna take it seriously, but I think I can play a 2 QB system and let him do whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I think if he wants to do something where Stetson Bennett maybe has packages that he comes in for the rest of the year. If they give the job back to JT, that's fine too. Like maybe you're in a short line situation and you want to have JT not JT, but Stetson as a threat as a runner. Yeah, you could do that. I mean, Georgia already has a good running game because they have 4 running backs. Yeah. But just to add that extra element, you can do that. Yep. But JT has to be the guy.
Also, to that point, sounds like Milton still will be out, but they'll still have. James Cook will be in. Zamir White will be in, and
McIntosh
will actually be back in. And I'm hearing Chris Smith, our defensive back, will be in. There's a chance that Speed might be back. So we're getting a lot of guys come back at just the right time. So that to answer Gary's question, is the Braves having anything to go in the World Series? No, I don't think that we're going to lose to Florida. And he knows me. He knows how pessimistic I can be. Because Florida's Florida. There's about 3 or 4 times where Florida has literally ripped my heart out where I just knew we were going to beat them and they didn't. Barring injury, anything can happen. It can rain, things happen. But I feel really good about our chances. Georgia's defense that's probably as good as defense I've ever seen. Anything else you want to plug before we jet out tonight?
No, not really.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Bryce. We can't tell you just how much it is. You're just a part of the show. You're a family, a friend of the show. Shout out to Professor Billingsley. We hope that you get well soon. He's a little bit under the weather. Also to Miss Diva, the queen of the show. We love you. God bless you. We're thinking about all of you. For all of you guys, if you get a chance, please share this show with others. If you haven't press like on Facebook, also on YouTube. Give us a subscribe and share it with your friends there as well. Once again, until Monday, we'll see you next week. Peace up. A-Town down. You're starting to get a hang of that.